One, two, three. Let's go, guys. How are you guys? Having a great week? How was last week? We're back at home, in your college, in your dorm. Uh, Again, don't hesitate. Keep in contact. Email me. Some of you did about where are you, how are you, and I guess little by little we'll all adjust and adapt to this new situation of working remotely and sending the homework, etc. I'm gonna be flexible, of course, so no worries. Don't stress out yet, uh, and we're gonna be just fine. So if you haven't sent me yet last week's homework due on Friday, do not worry. Send it ASAP. Some of you did, like half of the class did, so no worries. And I will try. I promise I will try to send you just one email per week. Like this email I just sent you today, and with all the instructions, materials. Sometimes it's inevitable that I see something very interesting that it's actual and it's updated, and I cannot just wait for the next week, or next week I have other materials to send you. So I may send you an email with some readings or something. Maybe it's not exactly reading; it's optional, but it's inevitable because the news are, as you can see, are very fast, and we have many information, and there are so many articles and so many interesting things about what's going on. Like the small commentary, small summary you did about the COVID-19 and the economic situation from this professor Mazzucato, the American Italian professor, very interesting. It is true that there's a lot of speculation. How is it going to be? In my opinion, it's going to be more like a EU situation, meaning that this is not a problem like we had 2008, 2009, that there was a financial real estate bubble, blah, 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 debt, etc. I think this is more a shock on the economy, a contraction of supply and demand. And once the problem it's over, little by little, we'll recover. Well, some people may say, yeah, but what about people will be confident, consumers, families, companies to invest? I think, human nature, it's kind of, we tend to forget, and we move on, and even, and after it happened before, after countries and people killing each other, they make peace and they start cooperating and they start forgetting like never happened, etc. And I think in 2 3 months, people will start to be back to normal a little bit, to recover. I hope. Anyway, I don't have any. Nobody knows, but maybe I'm confusing, reality. But like, anyway, nobody knows reality with my own desire of how a situation can be in the future. But let's see. But definitely, it's management-wise, company-wise, business-wise, economics-wise. It's a very interesting moment. Very interesting moment. Very hot moment. Very speculative, of course. So, in the email, as I promised, I'll try one email per week on Mondays, and then you have until Friday to do the homework. Friday until midnight, doesn't matter. So here, this week, you have to do the uh, watch this very interesting conference talk from Dan Pink about the puzzle of motivation, and how managers, and actually the work you did last week, manager as a person, this is very complements a lot. That's what I meant. Last week's work, and it's surprising the discoveries and the outcome of the some of the studies, etc., etc. It is surprising. We'll talk about that on next week, but it's an amazing and shocking, actually, conclusion. Also, I got from from a business school. I got a summary of chapter 6, which is about planning. Remember, of course, you don't have a copy of the book like you had at CA here in Barcelona, but anyway, this summary is very accurate. Also, in the class presentation, you have some of the. I know in my class presentation are very much the talking points, the headlines, etc. It's not the book, of course, but anyway, this summary is kind of long, so please read it. And then homework will be kind of two parts. One will do a one-page summary of Puzzle of Motivation, the TED Talk. I just the link, of the TED Talk. It's in the email, and then a two-page summary. So it's total three. You can put it together in the same file. That's fine. It actually helps. Oh, one second. And the second exercise is following the planning class is to do a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Choose a company. I suggest Facebook, Netflix, or Twitter. What are the scenarios in terms of the internal factors, remember, and the external factors. And going back, I just go through a little bit, even though the readings are kind of self-explanatory, but let me go a little bit about chapter 6 about planning. Planning is is one of the major, remember, one of the major tasks of any manager: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Remember, it is true that planning is basically done within the structure of any organization, basically done by the top management. Whereas the lower management or the first line manager, aka supervisors, are more in controlling the employees, the non-managers. So kind of the top of the pyramid, top managers, middle managers, first managers, etc. It is true that planning it's kind of more a top management. And here, as you can see in the class presentation and in the summary, we analyze the systematic planning. It's a non-stop permanent process. I call it the bicycle theory, meaning even in a bicycle, even just to stay at the same place, at the same spot, you have to move. And if you want to move forward, you even have to push harder. But just to stay in the same place, let me do this, just to stay in the same place, you need to move, otherwise you fall down. That happens to many companies. Companies all the time need to plan something else, something new. They need to move forward. Very little companies they don't do any planning. I mean, it would be like, I don't know, maybe kind of an example, even though there's some planning behind, but kind of an example is a company that is producing for the last 100 years very traditional product, and they don't innovate, they don't do anything else. They just produce the same product as always, because it has some quality, it kind of like a wine, etc. But so it doesn't seem like they plan a lot. It doesn't seem they move forward. Like it is part of their business just to sell the same stuff. They sell this tradition, etc. But even though it's not like they don't launch a product any year like Apple or Nike, even though these traditional companies, like a typical wine company, they produce the same wine, following the same technique, because this is kind of their own specifications and kind of their own point of characteristics or unique proposition, But even though just to keep on doing the same things, I'm sure they change and they keep on changing, basically analyzing costs or basically analyzing efficiencies, even to produce the same product as they did 100 years ago. They're still doing some internal planning, but it is true that some companies, again, typical wine, that they've been following the same traditional, actually they sell this, we sell tradition, so we produce it like we did 100 years ago. So even inside these companies they do some planning. But it's true that this type of companies, it's so much different than typical innovative companies like Apple or Nike, that yes, these companies are planning continuously. Top management is planning continuously. New products, new strategies, new services, new markets, etc., etc. They keep on the bicycle theory. They keep pushing forward. They keep pushing harder to move forward. So we will see the three major steps in planning, and also the SWOT analysis, which is part of the homework. Planning, as you can see, is the process to identify and select the company's goals and the course of action. So the company's goal might be not only to sell more and to make more money, but remember the Apple case, they decided at some point after this process of decision process, they decided we need to go small electronics. We cannot be anymore a small PC desktop company, because Dell and the likes are going to kill us in the long term, or we're just going to be so niche, meaning representing 5% of the market, because we just sell to designers and IT guys, etc. So they did this planning and of identifying the company's goals, which was we need to be mainstream, high volume, everyone's company. So we need to do small electronics, and they started with the iPod, and then afterwards, kind of naturally, they moved to the smartphones. And of course, the course of action. How do we allocate it, the resources? We hire better designers. We license this technology. We change the marketing. We put more resources into marketing and less into production, because we outsource production, remember, outsourcing and downsizing of the company. So at the end, as you can see in the presentation, planning equal goal making plus strategy making. I want to be small electronics. How am I going to do that? What is small electronics? How much marketing? What technology I'm going to use, etc., etc. And strategy, as a summary of all, it includes goals, actions, and resources. To achieve the goals, what actions I'm going to do with what resources. So the 3 steps, basic 3 steps. Determining the company's missions and goals. Kind of this is the philosophical planning of the company, kind of the frame of the company. We'll see it later. Formulating the strategy, and then of course implementing it. Mission statement, which is it's a mix. It's true nowadays. It's kind of a mix between planning and it's also part of culture, the culture of the company. It's a broad declaration of the company's purposes, meaning what it's seeking to achieve. Some examples of what is included in the mission statement, and you can Google or check any company. Mission statement of Walmart, mission statement of whatever, etc. And you will see. So some of the elements that includes mission statement: the moral, ethical position of the company, the desired public image they want to transmit to the public, the key strategic influence for the business, a description of the target market. So we focus on this type. Walmart, they focus on everyone. It's in this case, it's very obvious and very clear, very simple. A description of the products and services, the geographic domain. For instance, here I mentioned, I'm gonna just Google as we go, since we do this kind of interactive class. I'm gonna check the, let me check mission statement. Which company do you want? Nike? Okay. Let's see what we find. At Nike.com, what is Nike's mission? I mean, that's so cool, huh? So they summarize everything. Sometimes they summarize everything in a slogan sometimes. Our mission is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you are an athlete. Sometimes, is this planning? Well, it is what informs. It is what really kind of affects planning in the sense that sets the framework. So going back, when I say here, moral, ethical position of the company, well, inspirational in this case, or that they want to help people. As I said, this set of elements doesn't apply strictly or automatically to all companies. The desired public image, yes, they announce and they inform they want to be innovative, they want to help athletes. How are they going to do that? The key strategic influence for the business, well, by bringing innovation to everyone and inspiring people. Description of the target market, well, they actually mention to the world to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Description of the product services, here they don't mention it. This is one of the elements they don't like. Remember that talk that we watched about Steve Jobs, that he actually was mentioning Nike, saying Nike never shows the product because they are above this. They get kind of philosophical, but they want to transcend. I mean, they don't want to be exactly like another shoe company where everything is about cost and look at the specifications. No, they focus on values. They focus on the why. We'll see another video about the why later on. And so they don't do description, geographic domain is the world, etc., etc. If you go to Walmart, kind of the mission statement is part of the planning. It's very simplifying the slogan. Save money, live better. Everything is there. Save money. So geographic domain, everyone. Now they operate mainly in the US, but also in some countries with different subsidiaries. And they say they want to work hard to get you the best prices So as you can imagine, also includes there that they are really negotiating very hard with suppliers. So it must be hard to deal with them. And how they're going to do things. Well, they want you to help. They want to help you by selling not cheap products, selling you products that are cheap, at least the price. Remember always, guys, not the same price as value. Price is one thing, and value is another thing. Don't confuse them. So Walmart is save money, live better. So they want to help you, etc., etc. As part of their mission statement, as part of where the goals of the company are. In order to do that, in defining the business, of course, you need to know who are your customers, what customer needs are being satisfied with your products, or you intend to do that, and how are you doing that. Well, you see here in the presentation more different elements and different descriptions. One, it's important. Why planning is important for a company? Well, first of all, and this is important as well, to give a sense of direction and purpose. I think it's important that for your own staff, for your own people, for your own organization, that you're moving ahead, that you're pushing, and the company is going places, going in a certain direction. Of course, people may say, well, this is right, this is wrong, etc. But you need to show that the company is progressing. Also, it's a process that includes and engages people, as I say here, to make managers participate in decision making about the goals and the strategies for the company. Remember when we talk about decision making processes nowadays, because of empowerment of teams, because of the workforce is more trained and educated and experienced than ever, etc., etc., you bring people, so it's important also they participate in the planning of the company. Also, it's important because when you inform of the planning to the whole organization, remember the informational role of the manager. You're creating coordination. You're telling everyone, okay, now we're not going to be anymore just a desktop or laptop company. We're going to be also a small electronics, iPods, and then smartphones, etc. So all the company, it's now aligning with this purpose of becoming something new. So people, wow, we have now sense and direction, and you also make people participate on this, so everybody's happy. Then we continue, guys. We continue here with formulating a strategy, which is how to attain the company's missions and goals, and implementing, as I mentioned, is allocating the resources and responsibilities. Imagine Apple, when they decided that they want to be micro or small electronics, all the changes involved in this. The changes of, okay, we're going to invest less in computers, in desktops and laptops. We're going to hire more people specialized in MP3 players when they wanted to launch the iPod and then the smartphone. So different type of resources, different type of strategies, etc., etc. I here put an example of a video. It's very interesting. It is a big change. Actually, it affected me. Carrefour, because Carrefour in French, which means crossroads, it's a huge retail in Europe. It's the Walmart of Europe, and actually after Walmart, it's second worldwide. It's super big supermarkets, super centers like Walmart. They have some express convenience store, but normally they are big size supermarket, just like Walmart. Again, number 2 in the world, number 1 in Europe. So it affected me. Actually, it was a change in the planning because, and you can see that in the video, they decided to reduce, because of the crisis 2010, 12, they started changing the centers, changing the space of every supermarket, meaning less product, more space, more specialized products, and at the end, as a consequence of that, less suppliers. So in my category, in mopping buckets, they decided, actually they had a lot of mopping buckets. That was a little crazy. They had like 7, 8 in each center. That's a lot. But at the end, they reduced to 2 or 3. Chinese cheap one, the top selling with a brand, which is Villera, and a medium price also with the company, with the supermarket brand. So they went from 7 to 3, and of course I was one of the 4 left behind anyway, because somebody did a planning and somebody decided we need to change things, we need to do a more friendly space, better products, etc., and less, so much inventory, etc. Anyway, it didn't work. It didn't work according to the info I have. After investing, I don't know how many millions per center, per shop, refurbishing everything, redesigning everything, redecorating everything, didn't really make a difference. At the end of the day, it seems people, they don't like that much. They don't care that much about if they have fresh sushi, etc., etc. When they go to a kind of cheap or hard discount or type of supermarket, they just want good prices and they don't care if it's gray and everything looks the same, aisle after aisle, corridor after corridor. That's what I think it happens. And then, and this is part, guys, remember, of the homework, do it as SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, I guess some of you have done it. Sorry about that if you have to do it again, but anyway, it's a good exercise. Do it again as many times as possible, that's fine. It's not that once is enough in your lifetime, because as I mentioned, some of you guys are you have studying a major in business, other are not, of course, so we have to, combine everyone. So anyway, let's do a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are kind of the internal side of the company. And opportunities and threats are the external side. Market conditions, competitors, regulations, you name it. It's a little bit like the task environment, remember, and the general environment. So, kind of, not exactly. Now I was confusing myself and confusing you. Anyway, so strengths and weaknesses, and you can see it in the book or you can see it in the summary. It will tell you what do you consider the strengths of the company and the weaknesses of the company. For instance, I'm going to give you an example here. Let me check. Let me check some examples. But there are many different elements and many different professors and there are many different books that they mention different elements for each of the categories. So strengths, well, things your company does well. Yeah. Qualities that separate you from your competitors. You have a technology, you have some workforce, you have a unique product, idea, etc., etc. You have some resources, skilled people, intellectual property, your strengths as a company. Then you go to weaknesses. Weaknesses is, of course, the areas where your company lacks. Competitors are better than you. You don't have resources, you don't have money, you don't have this process, whatever, etc., etc. You don't have a unique selling proposition that is clear. That's the internal strengths and weaknesses. And then opportunities and threats at the external side of the company when you do an analysis of the situation. So opportunities, because of course, market conditions are very favorable, few competitors. It's a new product, it's a new market, etc., etc. I don't know, people like you, etc., etc. Threats, of course, major threat always, competitors, regulations that change and can affect you, negative press media, changing in the demographics, in the customer habits, etc., etc., you name it. So for instance, this is important, not only for startups, but also for any company. At a certain point, you stop and you analyze where are you as a company. I say, okay, let's rethink. Maybe I did a SWOT analysis 3 years ago, but it's not bad, just to think. This is part of the planning. Just to think where I am now. So it will give me the info and it will give me all the intel to see where do I have to go and if I have to do this or that or how was the situation. So again, it's a time to analyze yourself and analyze outside. Internal analysis and external analysis. So as I mentioned in the email, check the, do a SWOT analysis. I propose this company. If you like another one, okay, you can do it, but come on, you have to justify why. I say Facebook, Netflix, and Twitter because they're kind of very known, for you, and it makes sense. And actually because they're very trendy and the markets are very interesting, So you think about Facebook, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The same for Netflix and Twitter, and do this analysis. again, in the summary of the chapter, plus all the information you want. I mean, this is the SWOT analysis. There are so many papers. It's a classic analysis tool. Basically, it's a tool. So if you want to do things right and you want to do a great exercise, put in some time, think again, reflect, etc., etc. Read read the summary I just posted as well on the email. It's in the email, and you can do a good analysis of the SWOT analysis of of these three companies. Also, it's in the class presentation and in the summary. It is kind of complementary with the five forces. Sorry, with the SWOT analysis, the five forces model. Kind of they complement each other. Sometimes they overlap. Five forces model. It's an analysis tool created by Professor Michael Porter from Harvard Business School, and it's basically he analyzes five factors or forces. One is rivalry among organizations in an industry, potential for entry into an industry, the power of large suppliers, the power of large consumers, and the threat of substitute products. Yeah, meaning together with the SWOT, you just can think, okay, I want to invest or I want to work on this particular industry. How is the industry? And you analyze one by one all these factors. Rivalry among organizations in an industry. Okay, what's the market share? Do you have 10 companies owning 10% of the market share, which is not bad because then it's diversified, or you have 3 companies owning 30-something% each, which is kind of complicated because they are quite big. Another second factor, the potential for entry into an industry. How easy is to enter this industry? What are the initial costs? Is there any barrier? For instance, the initial cost or barrier if you want to enter the airline industry is super high. I mean, during an airplane. In an airplane, I don't know if it's $100 million or whatever. Well, now they lease them or they rent them, but whatever, they're super high. The cost of entry. You need to raise money and you need investors and you need a super complex project and you need many partners to start an airline company. The same if you want to start now a telecom company. Telecom is a telephone company. Yeah? First of all, you need a permission or authorization from the government because it's public space, electromagnetic space up there, yeah? It's public space, etc., etc. The easiest potential for entry into an industry, the easiest, the lowest. Well, think about it, anything tech, anything e-business, for instance, so easy. So easy the thing is that, of course, then you will not get users and you will not get downloads from, if it's an app, etc., it will take more or less. But really, what is the cost? Look at Facebook, going back to Facebook. What was the cost to start Facebook? Nothing, peanuts. Just the time of some developers, some programmers, 1,000 euros to do the hosting, to rent the servers, so where the website can be, allocated and can be hosted, and that's it. Then of course to grow faster, blah, 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 but it's relatively small in the mobile app and website, in some of the IT is relatively small. That's the easy part. The power of large suppliers, well, some industries, some suppliers have a lot of power, but others, they don't have any. Remember when we talk about NutraSweet, it was the only supplier of a very high quality sweetener. So they actually work with both, with Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So of course they have some power. But in many other markets, suppliers, you have a lot and nobody has a significant leverage or bargaining position because there's a lot of competition among them. But anyway, every market is different. The power of large consumers, in many markets, there's no problem with that. In others, yes, of course. If you wanna sell some technology to telecom companies, well, there are few telecom companies in the sense of telephone, IT telecom companies. Suppliers of telephone lines, etc., etc., or other regulated sectors. Your clients are very few. And the threat of substitute products, how we see is that somebody can come with substitute products or what are the competition, not competitive products, but competitive categories, etc., etc. So five forces model again, and you will see in the summary, it is complements, kind of complements the 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 analysis of the SWOT analysis. It overlaps at some point, but it's useful too. It's useful, and I mean it's a classic. It's been around for almost 40 years. And also, as you can see, right at the end of the class, remember, we have the business level strategies and the corporate level strategies. Business level strategy, we talked a little bit about this at the beginning. It is where the top management at this point, they decided the core strategy of the company, meaning I'm going to do, for instance, a low cost strategy, or I'm going to be differentiation, aka high end strategy. Am I going to be I don't know, Levi's or Sarah or H&M, or I'm going to be top company like Armani, Gucci, etc., etc. This is the first decision that, of course, it's core business, and that's why business level it's more. Sometimes not even the top management. Sometimes it's even the founders of the company, the ones who create this first strategy. What am I going to do? Cheap or expensive, specialized, design, high quality, etc., etc. And then at more corporate level, which is a second level of strategy, to differentiate between the top and the second one, we call it corporate level strategies, which has different elements here. One is concentration on a single industry. Am I going to do just t-shirts, or am I going to do just clothing as an industry, or am I going to expand to, well, look at Sarah, which is a top company in Spain and worldwide. Well, they decided to not only concentrate on a single industry, which would be clothing, but now they're doing Sarah Home, meaning they're doing decorations, and they kind of compete a little bit with IKEA, etc., etc. That's an important decision, of course, because it affects the resources, affect the suppliers, affect the distribution, and affects the marketing. You need different marketings, etc., etc. Another decision at corporate level, not a business level, at corporate level, is vertical integration. I think we also mentioned in one of the cases, one of the classes, what is vertical integration? When it is vertical, when the whole company does everything from production to selling, manufacturing, distribution, etc., etc. You take care of the whole business. Not many companies do that, because remember, downsizing and outsourcing for efficiency reasons is one of the for some time now is one of the strategies of many companies. But it is true that still some companies do everything. They produce the goods, and they manufacture, they distribute, and they sell the goods. In a way, when Apple does a mix, it is true that they also do a mix. It's true that Apple doesn't produce, they outsource production, but they own the technology, that it's outsourced, the production, etc. And then it is true that they take care of the whole thing, at least when they sell their own iPods and iPhones at their own shops. Kind of integrated, not 100%, I mean, nobody's perfect, but kind of. And many other companies, normally, most of the companies are not vertically integrated, because, as I said, it's just not efficient. So you let somebody to produce, you let somebody to do this, somebody to do that, etc., etc., and you the value you add, it's at a specific part of the value chain. Another diversification, how many products you want to sell. Also, it was one of the examples we talk about, Steve Jobs, one of the great strategies when he came back to Apple. He was fired, and then he came back, etc. Let me get some drink, guys. It is to you, sparkling water. Good. So one of the main strategies of Steve Jobs when he returned, because he was in a very bad shape, Apple decided to cut back so many products. They were selling, I don't know, tons of products, and he said, it's crazy. It's crazy for us to manage the whole inventory, to produce, to distribute the whole inventory. And it's also crazy for the consumers and for the retailers. It's crazy for everyone. And he decided to cut it. He reduces to the minimum. And it was a great strategy. It was a great strategy to concentrate in few products, but focus everything, production, the quality, designing, and also the marketing of everything. And at the end of the day, today, if you can Google that, if you see iPhone, I mean, one product represents like 60 something percent of Apple revenue. This is amazing. Few companies have this, just one product. Well, you may say, well, it's like Nike shoes. Well, first of all, I doubt shoes is more than 10, 15, whatever, but within shoes they have thousands of shoes. Whereas iPhone, it is true, there's not only one, they sell two or three at the same time. Sorry for that again. And the fourth aspect of corporate level, some of the different aspects of a strategy is expansion. Are you going to do licensing, meaning you cooperate with others and they distribute for you, you let them use your trademark. Franchising, which is kind of it's a plus. It is more than it's more like licensing, because they cooperate with you, they use your trademark, you train them, they pay you a fee, and they operate as if they were you. Remember, McDonald's is a clear example of franchising. Chipotle never did. Sorry. Chipotle never did franchising, basically because at the beginning it was owned by McDonald's. So they decided, no, I'm going to control quality. I'm not going to rely and cooperate and work together with franchisees. Not that they're wrong, because in McDonald's it worked very well, but I want to control it tightly. So they didn't do that. And then you have, any other strategic alliances, or basically when it's foreign and international business, you have many different formats and models in many countries. For political reasons, they don't let you own the subsidiary, so they force you to work with a local guy. Basically, the local guy is a guy making some money. I mean, it's a fee earner. Huh? But anyway, like in Dubai, like in China, etc., etc. I think China is now opening up, and they already allow the wholly foreign subsidiary. Yeah? And that's it, guys, more or less for chapter 6. And remember, I was just checking here all the content for this week. Watch the TED Talk, the Puzzle of Motivation, read the summary of chapter 6. You have the links here in the email. And then you have the 2 exercises. You can put it in one file, which is the summary of the Puzzle of Motivation, 1 page, and the SWOT analysis, maximum 2 pages of Facebook, Netflix, or Twitter. We'll keep on talking. I will be sending you info weekly basis, I promise. Well, no, I have to send you another email. Sorry for that. Well, I'll give you access to the folder where I have the examples for the group project, the business presentation, the Shark Tank thing you have to do. Anyway, any comment, any idea, any suggestion, just email me. I'll be glad to read from you guys. I hope you're doing fine. Let's keep in contact and have a great week, guys. I'm gonna turn this off.